Welcome to the Firefly Tutors TV podcast, where real teachers from all over the country discuss real solutions for parents and educators alike. Here's your host, Marissa Johnston.
Hello and welcome to The Buzz, brought to you by Firefly Tutors TV, where we talk to administrators, educators, and parents all across the country about current topics affecting school children today. Diane Cutler Lewis is an educator, entrepreneur, and philanthropist committed to helping students reach their highest potential. She founded A In Home Tutors in 2003 to promote educational awareness and customized learning for students of all backgrounds and grade levels. The organization has grown to be one of the leading tutor vendors to many charter schools and community partners throughout California. In 2021, Diane launched Firefly Tutors, presented by A In Home Tutors, to continue to expand tutoring services with the goal of more positively impacting greater numbers of students in all 50 United States. Welcome to the podcast, Diane Lewis. Thank you for joining me. And who is joining us today?
Hi, Marissa. Great to be on with you. And I'm so happy to introduce Dr. Marco Clark. He's been widely respected in education for more than 30 years, earning his bachelor's degree in psychology and English from College of the Holy Cross. He earned his master's degree in education in guidance and counseling from Bowie State University and his doctoral degree in education from Creighton University in 2015. One of Marco's greatest joys is witnessing the growth and personal formation of young people as they become leaders and people of influence who bring about positive change in the world. We're fortunate to have Marco on The Buzz, and I'm equally honored to call him my friend for nearly 30 years. So welcome, Marco.
Oh, my goodness, Diane. Thank you. It's really my honor, my privilege to be with you today and also to share these insights in such an important decision in the growth and formation of young people as they look at what their post-secondary options might be.
Our discussion today covers the ever-changing college admissions process with tips and insight for parents and young scholars. Marco, much of our audience will be navigating college admissions with their first child. What can students do to increase their chances of gaining admission to their desired college or university? Are there certain strategies that parents and students should consider when applying?
Well, Marissa, gosh, those are some rich questions. And let me just say this, that doing this for 34 years, I began my career as a school counselor, and which meant I was doing college counseling. And oh boy, has that landscape ever changed. I remember the day that we would encourage students to apply to maybe between 3 and 5 colleges. Ideally, they should have a stretch school. They should have something that could go 50-50 either way, maybe get in, maybe not get in, and then apply to at least one sure thing, right? And yet, with the competitive landscape as it is today, students are no longer just applying to 3 to 5, and I'm not so sure there's any real sure things out there anymore. And so, we see students today that are applying to 10 or 15 or 20 or even more colleges. And the colleges have made that access easier. The online application tools are easier. Many of them can even be done today from a cell phone. There's also a direct admissions process for some colleges and universities, which rather than applying to the college or university, you apply very similar to the common application, for example. But you apply to a portal, and then your information is distributed to a variety of different colleges and universities. So even without you directly applying to those schools, your name goes into that portal, and those schools then have access to your information for potential admission and potential scholarships. So, one of the things I would encourage parents to do is really to understand what those options are, understand the difference between early admission and early decision, right? That's a biggie. Often students will have their mindset that they want to go to a particular college or university and they apply early. But if they apply early decision, more often than not, that means that there's a commitment that's required, that if they're accepted there, they're then obliged to attend that institution. So they need to be aware of that. And that also then can rule out their exploration process, particularly in their senior year. And so So understand the difference between early admission, which is non-binding, early decision, which is binding, direct decision, which is, entering your name and resume and transcripts into a portal that then gets distributed to a variety of different colleges and universities. So I think that would be a starting point, is to understand those differences.
Those are great points. Thank you so much for sharing. There's so much to it that I didn't even realize was there, that they could potentially be signing themselves up for a college and have to commit to that. So definitely great things to keep in mind. Thank you so much. In regards to the college admissions process, if a parent and student want to apply for scholarships, what advice can you give? How relevant are SAT and ACT scores when applying for scholarships?
Yeah. Well, yeah, terrific question. And of course, the cost of higher education is a major concern of consumers, all of us across the country. And yet, very often, you look at the total cost of tuition, room, and board. But as you do a deeper dive into that college or university, it's important to take a look and see what the tuition discount rate is at that college or university. So what the actual cost that most students are actually paying. And that's important, right? So I'll use Holy Cross College as an example for example. So Holy Cross College in Notre Dame, Indiana, sits directly across the street from the University of Notre Dame, arguably the flagship Catholic university, maybe in the world. And then also right next door to St. Mary's College, which is run by the Sisters of the Holy Cross, and it's one of 33 all-women's colleges in the United States. So, we're really blessed to be in an area that there's also 8 colleges and universities just in this town, in this region, in Northwest Indiana. So a lot of options for parents, a lot of options for families. So as people begin to explore that, you look at the cost of attendance, and it might appear on the surface to be $75,000 or $80,000 a year for tuition, room, board, and fees. Others might be, $35,000 to $40,000 a year for tuition, room, board, fees. But in the case of a place like Holy Cross College, when you look at the tuition discount rate, the average parent, the average student here is paying significantly less than what that sticker price initially shows. The average here is about $25,000. And then I think, even doing a deeper dive is important to understand, if you can find it, and you got to do some extra research for this, but what's the average debt load that a student is taking on upon graduation from that institution, right? So the national average, believe it or not, is above $40,000 for those that have achieved an undergraduate degree. The debt load that they carry is above $40,000. At Holy Cross College, our debt load is closer to about $20,000 upon graduation. So that's an important factor to take into account too. So you've got, on the surface, a sticker price. You've got tuition discount rates. You've got financial aid programs. And then, of course, you've got pure scholarship programs. The most money that a student will receive will probably come from the institution itself, directly from the institution. There are hundreds and actually thousands of private scholarship programs, third-party scholarship programs that exist outside of institutional programs that students they can and they should explore. But I will say that the most money that they're going to get will likely come from the institution themselves. And so part of the important process there is establishing a relationship with the college admissions office, whoever that counselor may be. Also, if possible, with the provost or the deans. And then as well, a really important relationship is going to be with that director of financial aid, right? Because ultimately what that college or university wants to do is they want to help you connect the dots. They want to help you make it possible. And if you're in constant communication with them as much as possible, then the likelihood is that they can help direct and steer you in the way to best achieve those goals.
Great. Now, what about athletic scholarships? I played college basketball, and I think a lot of things that shock families when they're kind of set on their child being an athlete and getting, trying to get them scholarships and everything for their colleges. One thing to consider is that the division type matters because the types of scholarships that schools can give out very much depends on their division.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Marissa. And I think it's important to note that in NCAA and NAIA, so Holy Cross College is an NAIA school. Athletic scholarships are permitted at the Division I and Division II levels, but then also, oftentimes packages can be put together outside of that might include a combination of athletic scholarships and other merit-based scholarships and financial aid. I think there's a few things to understand about athletic scholarships is that outside of the major revenue producing sports, there are very few full scholarships that are provided in athletics, right? So yes, if it's a big Division I football program, you'll see that there are scholarships that go along with that. Basketball often will have scholarships that go along with that. But if you're a tennis player or a golf player, or you're running track or wrestling, oftentimes these are partial scholarships. And so, a lot of time, effort, money, preparation goes into preparing for collegiate athletics, oftentimes from a very young age, right? 6, 7, 8 years old, students are getting started in there and fulfilling that dream. And so the best thing that a student can do, frankly, is to have good balance, right? And be a leader in their schools, really work towards academic excellence in all that they do, establish a strong reputation of strong character and integrity. And if they have those God-given gifts and they work hard enough athletically, then, maybe they'll be fortunate enough to get that athletic scholarship. A couple of things, though, to be aware as well is that athletic scholarships, despite the fact that they may say this is good for 4 years, athletic scholarships are 1-year renewable scholarships, right? So if a coach changes or things go awry at an institution, then those scholarships can be removed. There's no guarantee of the scholarship beyond 1 year. They are 1-year renewable scholarships. And most families are not aware of that, right? So I think that that's important to note. I also think that it's important to note that that in those pursuits that it's gotten complicated today with the NIL, the National Image and Likeness contracts, and all the money that goes along there. The large majority of student athletes are exactly that. They are students first, athletes second. And they really should be selecting their schools based on where they think is going to get the best preparation for them academically and the best preparation for them in their formation into the people that they are to fulfill their God-given potential. So really to think carefully about that, because if you latch onto a program because of a coach or you latch onto a program because you think you're going to get the most playing time, those things can change very quickly. A coach can come and go. Right? The playing time may waver, but if you're at an institution that you love, that you know is best for you, then that can be your home for 4 years so that you can get that undergraduate degree.
Definitely. Those are great points. Now, you mentioned, and I love that you brought this up, they are student athletes. They are students first, athletes second. So how important are the SATs and ACTs still when, filling out applications to enroll in colleges and getting accepted, and also in that scholarship process?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important for student athletes in particular, and then I'll answer the question regarding SATs and ACTs, but
sure.
A student athlete should understand that when they step foot onto a college campus, to a U.S., to an American college campus, frankly, anywhere in the world, but we're going to talk about American colleges for a minute. They are among a small percentage of people who actually get the opportunity to receive a higher education, right? And they can get a world-class education from the several thousand colleges and universities that exist in this country. So they should take advantage of every opportunity. If there are lectures on campus, guest speakers that come in, extra opportunities for them to engage with their professors and their mentors, then they should be doing that. Now, when you're a student athlete, and I was a student athlete, I played college football, and oftentimes that feels like your first job. So you have to really make it of the greatest importance yourself to discipline yourself and to make it a priority to take advantage of all that the college has to offer, right? So they should never forget that, right? You get a chance to step onto a campus like UCLA or USC or University of Notre Dame or here at Holy Cross. My goodness, I mean, there are people around the world that would love to have such an opportunity to receive that education. So take full advantage of it. In terms of SAT and ACT, a lot of colleges today have gone to SAT and ACT optional. I think we'll see that trend increasing and continuing and increasing in the years ahead. Doesn't mean that it's not important, because oftentimes you can't even qualify for scholarships unless you have certain SAT and ACT scores, right? So even though most colleges, or many colleges and universities, have gone away from SATs and ACTs, it's still a factor. It's still a criteria for merit scholarships often, and for eligibility in those scholarships. So getting the adequate preparation, often one of the things that separates the students, improves their access to college, especially first generation students, is if they can get into a tutoring program like what you offer at Firefly Tutors to help break down the barriers and as well the mystique that surrounds the SATs and the ACTs, break down some of the fears and apprehensions. That test prep is really important. So if people are able to get that, that's a real key way of improving access to higher education, especially for first generation students, first gen and their family to go to college.
Yes, and I love that you brought up test prep as well, because test prep isn't just, intense study sessions of knowing the content. It's also really understanding those test taking strategies and just building familiarity also with the process of taking the test, so that when you step foot into that room where you're going to take it, you are calm and collected and you do your absolute best.
Yeah, I can think back to my own upbringing. I did not have any test prep, and I sure wish I did. And you can rest assured that when I became a school counselor and later as a principal and a president of a high school and now as a college president, that we've always made sure to include test prep programs and to partner with outside partners where possible, like Firefly Tutors, because there is that mystique, there is that pressure, there is test anxiety, right? There is the fear of the unknown. I know in my case, by the time I took the test, the SAT, the third time around, I knew what to expect, right? And I did better. But what I didn't understand, a couple of the colleges that I applied to, they didn't look for your best score. They took an average of your scores, right? And so had I had some prep going into test number one, that would have been higher the second and third time around, right? So I do advocate for, wherever possible, test preparation, just to help to break down that mystique.
It sounds like scheduling is also a key part of the test taking process as well, with SATs and ACTs, pardon me. Just making sure that you start soon enough, like you said, to be able to take it up to 3 times and get that best average score.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think I do encourage that it be taken at least twice, if not 3 times. We simply do get better at test taking and high stakes tests. Again, whether we like them or not, or agree with them or not, and I know many colleges and universities have made them optional, but high stakes testing is still present. And it's still expected, and it's still a part of our educational landscape. It's also a part of life, right? I mean, I think that every day, in many ways, I mean, heck, we're on a podcast here. This is a high stakes test in many ways, right? We want to be able to perform to our very best, and we have to be able to think on our feet. We have to be able to problem solve creatively. And so, I mean, really every day that we interact and do things is a test in and of itself. So I think learning to handle that pressure and that anxiety, it's important for students.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to take it back to something you said a little bit earlier regarding the SAT and ACT scores, that they really do matter, especially when applying for scholarships, because the scholarships granted to you can be based on your SAT and ACT scores, or the scores you present. And in that sense, it sounds almost like it's applying for a car loan with your credit score. The donors, the people who grant those scholarships are going to look at that score and take it as a testament of anticipating how well you will do through college as well.
Yeah, and I think, maybe sticking with your example of our credit score for a car loan, right? I think that we need to help our students understand that they should have a diversified portfolio. Okay, let me put it that way. So in their diversified portfolio, they want to have involvement in school activities. They want to demonstrate leadership where they can. They want to be able to demonstrate their character and their integrity. They want to have a certain GPA and grades that make them that help to raise their overall score, right? If they're fortunate enough to have a giftedness in music or theater or athletics, or any of the other extracurricular programs and avocational programs, all of that helps them to diversify their portfolio. And so paying attention to all of those things. But I would say this too. We live in a generation today where sometimes we as parents, and myself included, my kids are grown now, but we get our students so involved in so many things, trying to help prepare them to get the next best opportunity to get into the best school possible, and maybe the best graduate program after that, and then the best internship while they're in school so that they can get the best job possible. But rarely along the line are we teaching them really joy and happiness and fulfillment and well-being. And so I would really encourage parents today that the social and emotional needs of our students, of our young people, have to take priority. And I'm a big believer in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I often will say Maslow over Bloom, right? When we start talking about hierarchical needs. And so I think that if we're not taking care of those foundational pieces of our well-being, right? Love and belongingness, then it's going to be hard for somebody to aspire to reach their greatest fulfillment, right? Or what Maslow refers to as self-actualization. And so, my advice to parents is that, yes, while it's important that students diversify their portfolio, the most important thing is their mental health and their mental well-being, and that's going to define their ability to flourish in life.
If you enjoyed our discussion today, please like Firefly Tutors on all your social media hubs like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Find us on Pinterest, where we pin all of our favorite resources for parents and tutors. At Firefly Tutors, we believe every student deserves the opportunity to develop to their highest potential. See you next time on The Buzz.